recently heard that some companies in Silicon Valley are pushing out the post-termination exercise period. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, this is actually a very hot topic in Silicon Valley. In fact, last year, The Information, which is a wonderful subscription-only publication for people in Silicon Valley, run by a woman who founded it, who's done a phenomenal job. She spent a whole issue on this concept. And under the law, people are often surprised, not under the law, I mean under documents of what's typical, the typical stock agreement in Silicon Valley. Most people would be surprised to know the typical one for forever and ever and ever has been 90 days. That's not a lot of time. What's changed between now and when I got stock 10 years ago in a company where I had 90 days to exercise? The big difference is valuations of these companies are incredibly high right now. So maybe 10 years ago, you might have a whole bunch of stock and the price of the stock is 5 cents a share. So the executive writes a check. What if the stock was $50 a share? And what if you had 100,000 shares or something? I'm like, who can afford to do that? Right. So companies are realizing that 90 days is a difficult hurdle, and there is beginning to be a number of companies that are pushing that out. And I'm seeing some companies are saying, you know what, this is ridiculous, we recognize it, and we want to give incentives to these people to stay and also to recognize that employees, if they do leave, we want them to be stockholders. Not all companies want this, by the way, so I don't want to be speaking for all companies. And the companies that are moving to 7 years, for example, are oftentimes requiring that or saying that only applies to certain types of employees, because they don't want to create a class where employees can be there for 6 months, quit, and have, or a better example is be there for a year when you've cliffed and then get this. So usually it's like employees that have been there for the long term that they're recognizing, and they're saying, you know what, if you've been here for like 5 years or 3 years even, and you've helped build this company, and then you go on to your next job and you can't afford to exercise, it would be a shame for you to leave all that stock on the table. We want to help you with that. And I am seeing that. I am also seeing that in my practice, certain executives, CEOs who are going in with a lot of power because they're valued highly to go in, are getting that pushed out sometimes. Every time? No. Sometimes. What's the company's position? Well, the company's position oftentimes in that, and again, I'm not speaking for all companies, but oftentimes a company may be willing to do that or more willing to do that when the executive is leaving, because they know at that time under the circumstance that the executive is leaving, right? I mean, if a CEO is there and then quits to go be an executive at the company's biggest competitor, it's going to cause real heartburn for that company to know that executive still can exercise and can be a stockholder. So some boards are saying, you know what, we're not going to give that to you now, but if the CEO was pushed out and it was very voluntarily, maybe at that point they'll say, we'll push it out for you.